Well, this is the brutal truth. Nobody cares. Now that may sound harsh, but it's actually good news. Because as you get older, into your 50s and 60s, and it may even start younger in your 40s, you kind of worry less about what other people think. Because you realize that nobody cares. You know, people are too mixed up in their own lives to be too concerned about what you're doing. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about your spouse or your family, because I'm sure they do care. At least I hope they do. But generally in life, people are too concerned about their own lives to be worried about yours. And once you realize that and you find that out, it becomes very freeing. It gives you a sense of freedom, basically. I know when I worked in my old company, you know, it was, let's say, very, how can I put it? I don't want to get political in these videos, but it was very today, if you know what I mean. And you had to be careful about what you said. And certainly politics is a subject you would never want to talk to anybody about, because it could have serious consequences on your job and career. Once I lost my job, I didn't have to be careful about what I thought or what I said. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean to sound like I'm being cruel or mean or anything, because I'm not. But I mean, it's the whole feeling of being able to talk freely about how you feel and have open conversation, which is something, sadly, in this world in 2026 seems to be missing greatly. Now, I'm not going to get political here. I'm not going down that road. But once you get into your 50s and older, and you really do realize that people don't care. They don't give a, you know, about you really. It's like a huge weight being lifted off your shoulder. And another side of this whole freedom from not worrying about what people care is you may want to start a side hustle, you know, of some nature. Let's say a YouTube channel, like me. Now, the younger me might have been concerned, oh, what are people going to think? Oh, they're going to think I'm making a fool of myself. Why are you doing a YouTube channel? What experience do you have? And all those kind of negativity, which when you're younger, you might go, yeah, you're right, okay, and you don't do something. And it could be anything. It could be any kind of career or side hustle or hobby that you want to do. Maybe you've always wanted to play guitar. You decided at 55 you want to learn to play guitar. When you have that freedom of knowledge that nobody cares, nothing can stop you from really pursuing what you want, your dreams, your ambitions. That's a really important aspect of that freedom. And as a result of that, age itself becomes irrelevant. Your capabilities and your abilities with regards to your health, for example, okay, that can have an effect, but age itself should not be a reason for you to not to do something or not to want to try something new. There's that old adage, age is only a number, and it's so true. And you know, when I was younger, I'd be looking at older people and they might only be 50. And I think, oh, they're old, right? But when you get to 50 or 57, in my case, you're like, you know what, I feel exactly the same way as I did when I was 20. I think the same way. Maybe I've just not grown up. But my point being is, age shouldn't be a restriction or a liability on what you want to do. Couple that with the freedom of knowing that no one cares, gives you superpowers, it gives you strength to try. You know, somebody once said that it's okay to try and fail than to never have tried before, because regret will eat you up. And you don't want to get older in life and think to yourself, boy, I should have done that. That's regret. Look at failure, if there is a failure, as a lesson learned. Learn it, move on, carry on. But this all stems down to the whole thing about not caring what other people think. Because that is one of the huge stumbling blocks, particularly when you're younger, about doing something. You know, when you're a kid, it's put into you as a child. You know, you might do something which you might be embarrassed because of your parents might find it, you know, uncomfortable or whatever it is. So you don't do it because you're scared about what your parents might think. You're scared about what your spouse might think. But the beauty of getting older is you get that realization that nobody cares, and that gives you freedom. When I started this YouTube channel, and that's about 14, 15 months ago, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but it really wasn't a clear idea. And it took me months, maybe a year or more, before I even ever hit record, because I was worried about what people might think. And the irony is, actually, when you start a YouTube channel, they actually tell you, don't tell your friends, don't tell your family, because of algorithm reasons. So that's a good excuse. And I was like, okay, I can do that. But now, you know, I was in England a few months ago, and I talked quite freely about the YouTube channel and what I was doing. And I was, and I still am proud of what I do. The comment section gives me that belief. I know these videos are helping. And when you have that conviction and you tell your friends about it, if they're really your friends, which I have good friends in England, they go, okay, yeah, that sounds good, that sounds interesting. And they get it. But again, it all stems down to that whole thing about you've got to take that first step, whatever it is you want to do in life. And that first hurdle to get over is that nobody cares. I've created a message board on the empowerover50.com website. Please check it out. I'm trying to grow the community so we can all help and support each other. So I hope this video has brought some help to you at all, some ideas, and understand that it really is important to know and learn that. And you know yourself. There's an old expression, or maybe not old expression, but I heard someone say it, and I think they called it, if you excuse my language, the bullshit meter. And you know, that's a skill that we develop as we get older. We know bullshit when we hear it. And for many years of our lives, we might put up with it. And, you know, agree, be nice, and appease, what's the word? Placate people. There you go, I'll use that word. But when you get older, you don't have to take it anymore. And that is so freeing. So freeing. I'm not saying be cruel to people, don't be horrible. I'm a great believer, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the best thing you can do, I believe, in life, is treat people how you want to be treated. Don't be disrespectful. But at the same time, you know, be free to say what you feel and how you feel. Okay guys, that's it for this video, but don't forget about the message board. Leave a comment and a like below. It really helps me on the channel. I'm trying to grow this, and it's bloody hard. But until the next time, cheers.